You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. I'm your host, Jennings Smith. We have a phenomenal show because this is something that I've gotten a lot of real life feedback from people in my mentoring group, the Deal Room, about, and they're asking this question. So I wanted to do an episode on it. The main tenet that I want to hit on is this thought of, I can do it myself, right? If you're listening to this show, you're most likely somewhat of an entrepreneur. You own a business, you own rental property, or you have a bend towards that, and you've been very self-sufficient, right? You've gotten where you are by doing it yourself most often. You're the best at it. You're the fastest at it. Typically, you're talented at it. And so you've gone a long way, and a lot of times maybe somebody that you've hired or somebody that has tried to help you has just not turned out as well as you thought, or if you tried to trust somebody, maybe you subbed something out and the contractor didn't do very well, or the person that was supposed to be handling it didn't handle it, and you ended up having to jump back in. And so you come back to, I can do it myself. And it brings me to my first job. So my first job, I was in construction, working for a contracting company that was building these 3-bedroom, 2-bath, pretty much tract homes that were going to be rental properties. And the people who owned the company, I would say, were not the best business-minded people. Their model was, we got to do this as cheap as we can, and it doesn't matter if it takes longer or if it's not the most efficient way. We're going to do everything ourselves, and we're going to do it cheap, right? So I'm talking, we were digging these footings by hand. We were using a 5-gallon bucket with plastic tubing as a water level because it was too expensive to buy a laser level, like a transit, or to rent a transit. So they made us use this water level, which was much slower. And we're struggling with this. We couldn't rent a track hoe. We had to dig these footings with a shovel through roots with axes and sawzalls. And I mean, it was miserable. I mean, we laid the block work. I'm not a brick mason. I'm a $10 an hour, 18-year-old kid, and I'm laying block work extremely slow. But hey, I'm $10 an hour, right? There's no overhead. There's no markup. I'm building this, and we're pouring the slab. We're finishing the concrete ourselves. We're framing it. We're doing the siding. We're doing the shingles. We're nailing the shingles on. We're installing the windows, doors, sheetrock, wiring. We're doing the electrical ourselves. We're doing the plumbing ourselves. The only thing we didn't do was the HVAC because we didn't have a license to buy the machine that we needed, the units. And so when we would finish up the job, you know, they wouldn't have another job ready to go lined up. And I mean, it would take us months to build one house at a time. And I'm making $10 an hour. The foreman's making $15 an hour. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think that the owners were doing too well. From the looks of outside looking in, they definitely were not killing it, bringing down the money. And so this is the way that I was trained, right? And a lot of times we're a product of our environment, and we do what we know, right? We do what we know. And so this was sort of the way, and this is the way that I modeled my construction company, right? I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do the trim. I'm going to do the painting. I'm going to do the framing. I'm going to do it myself. And that is not the way to do it, right? We look at these larger companies, you know, D.R. Horton is a good example of a home builder who's figured it out. And they're doing the same thing over and over again. They're subbing it out. You've got Apple, who's innovating. They're finding the best people. They're not worried about being the cheapest. They're worried about being the best. They're subbing out different parts and components to China, and they're building systems and processes around how to make those things efficient. And I didn't think about any of that. And I modeled my construction company, and it eventually trapped me. So when I got into real estate, I decided I am not going to do this. I'm not going to build this company the same way as I built my construction company. We're going to have processes. We're going to have systems. We're going to have teams. I want passive income. And for it to be passive income, it has to be passive for me. And so it sounds awesome. And if you think about, if you were to plug in as the CEO doing millions of dollars of revenue with, you know, your office and your employees and your teams, that's when you would do that. That's when it would make sense. Except that's not how life works. And if you're doing real estate or whatever business you're doing, you realize that the people that are in that position at some point, they weren't there. They were small, right? They were doing it themselves. So how do we get from here to there? How do we get from A to B? Because when I did real estate, when I jumped into real estate, I was really scared. I didn't have a ton of runway. I didn't have a portfolio to manage. I had a couple rental homes. I didn't have like a full-time job worth of managing all these assets and making all this money. In fact, I had a lot of time on my hands, if I'm being honest, because I had sold my construction company. I wasn't doing that anymore. I was trying to get things going with real estate, and I had a good bit of time on my hands to do this, and I didn't have a lot of money, right? So I was scared. So I went back to my old standby that I can do it all myself. And here's where I'm going to differ from maybe most gurus or self-help people or whatever. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to do it yourself in the beginning, right? And I want to give you permission if you're getting into real estate and you're trying to do something new. I think it is okay to do it yourself. I think it's okay to learn. I think it's okay to get in the trenches and get really, really good at something and deeply understand your business. But it's not okay to stay there. And that's where a lot of us screw up, is because once we have some traction going, once we have some momentum going, we stay there. And that's where we reach a level, we plateau off, we get comfortable, and we won't move beyond it. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we struggle with and I struggled with. So let me get to that. So I built it up. I built the real estate. I did it myself. So I got busy. I got busier. We kept growing. Eventually, we grew to 1,000 apartment units, 500 self-storage units. We had a Facebook group with 25,000 people in it. There was a lot of admin work with that, approving people, keeping the spam out. We started a course. We started a coaching group. We did the deal room, where we teach people how to buy their first multifamily property. And the work just really, really, really started to pile on. So now we're making money. Now we're getting traction. Now we're going where we want to go. And yet I am running flat out 100 miles an hour. And I also have a lot of things that I want to do besides this, or things that I could do to make these things better and improve them. And I'm trapped again. I can't do those things because I'm at max capacity, right? And I think that I'm always going to be at max capacity, right? I'm always going to work. I like to work. I enjoy working. If you're listening to this show, you probably do. And so if you think that you're going to get to the place where you don't have to work anymore or don't want to work anymore, you're probably not being totally honest with yourself. But where I think is a healthier place to be is to get to the place where you can work when you want to work. You can work on the things you want to work on. You can work on those high leverage activities that are really going to move the needle versus trapped by busy work that has to get done for these things to keep going, but they really aren't high leverage. They really aren't your highest and best use, and they really aren't things that you enjoy doing. Because I think that the best place to be is making a lot of money while doing something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, that you're good at, that you have a mission for, right? That's something that you want to do versus like whatever, maybe you don't like the property management aspect or the bookkeeping aspect or the deal hunting aspect or whatever it is that you don't like, the legal documents. You're not focused on that. It's got to get done though. It's still got to get done, but it isn't something that's bringing you joy, bringing you life. Okay. So people in my life started to say, you're too busy. You need help. You need to hire somebody. You need to hire a team. You need to get VAs. You need to get subcontractors. You need to get employees, whatever it is. I didn't want that. I had employees in my other company and it took a lot of my time, effort, and I just didn't want to go down that road, or so I thought. But really, I hadn't done it in the right way. So my thought was, this is a good idea. I need to do this, but I'm really busy. I don't want to work on finding them. I don't want to train them. It's a hassle to find the right company. You could go through wrong subcontractors, wrong employees, wrong executive assistants, and then you've created more work for yourself and you've held yourself back, and you would have been further along if you just kept doing it the way that you're doing it, right? I liken it to if you need to move water across a room, right? It's like grab the buckets of water and fill up the buckets and carry them across and dump them in the other side, right? If you're trying to move the water across the room. Well, the smart person starts building a pipeline, right? He starts putting pipes together. He starts putting the couplings on. And in the beginning, the dude carrying the buckets is killing him. He's getting more and more and more water over there while the guy building the pipeline is just seemingly messing around, right? But eventually what happens? That pipeline gets built. Those couplings get connected. It gets connected to the source of the water. And now effortlessly water is dumping on the other side because this guy's utilized leverage. And when the guy with the buckets gets tired and he has to go to bed at night and he has to stop, he's taking the weekends off and he's going on vacation, dude with the pipeline, his pipeline's running 24/7. It's keeping on pushing that water through the pipeline, weekends, holidays, whatever. All he has to do is keep that pipeline in good repair, keep it working. If it springs a leak, he's got to fix it. But that's the long-term vision that we need to have as we're building businesses, as we're building the lives by design, an unlocked life that is worth living and is fun to live and that we're enjoying and living to the fullest. So it costs money, though, to build that pipeline, right? The pipeline isn't free. The buckets are a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper to grab those buckets and carry them across the room in the beginning. So how do we start to build that pipeline? Well, I wasn't sure what I would do, right? I didn't see a need. It's like, man, if I do all this, I'm going to have all this freed up time. I don't really need more freed up time. I enjoy kind of what I'm doing. Can I monetize this? How am I going to pay for this? And am I going to be able to use my free time to do things that are like highest and best uses, right? Because success starts small. The lie is that you're going to walk into this and you're going to absolutely need it. Like it's just going to be glaringly clear and you're going to be the CEO in the Ivory Tower pointing to all your employees and teams and executive assistants. And you got the jets and the boats and the yachts and the real estate and all this stuff. And you absolutely need somebody to help you to manage your life. And that's when you do it. That's a lie. That's not how it works, right? That is not how success is built. Success is built where you're scared, right? You're looking at your workload. You know, it's a lot. But you're also looking at your bank account and you're looking at the dollars coming in and you're thinking, is this something that I can really afford? Is this something that I really want to pay an employee? It's something that I can do myself. I've been doing myself. If they start doing it, am I going to be able to utilize that time and monetize my time in a better way, in a more efficient way? You know what? I'm good. I'm not going to do that. And you keep delaying it and you keep putting it off. And the Ivory Tower never gets built. And the CEO position never evolves because you're still stuck at, well, I'm not ready yet. That's for other people. I'll get there. I don't have enough for them to do. I don't have an extra $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 a year salary laying around to pay this person, right? I'll just hire a virtual assistant in the Philippines for $6 an hour or $6 a day, and they're going to help me manage everything, right? It's faster if I just do it. I'm not going to have enough work to do myself if I offload all this. So I'll be wasting money if I hire somebody. Now, tell you guys, I thought this way a long time, and it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Every one of those assumptions is wrong, and we're going to dig into those assumptions. We're going to audit those assumptions in a couple of minutes. So stay with me. Okay? So here is what happened. I came to the conclusion that I had to make progress. I had to do something if I was going to grow, if I was going to get to the next level. I hired Stacy. So Stacy is my assistant right now, my executive assistant. And I think that that's a great place to start. I think that VAs and software and buying like something that's going to post on social media for you and hiring like a one-off person that's going to underwrite deals for you and are hiring somebody for 4 hours a week to do this and do that. Like, I think that is in the long run, just holding you back. It's holding you back from the inevitable. And granted, this is for somebody that is working and getting traction and whatever. I'm not saying if you're dead broke, go out there and hire, a full-time executive assistant when you have no opportunity at your disposal. And I think you would know that. I'm talking to the people that are running wide open, that are getting traction, that are getting there, and they want to keep going and they want to go to the next level, but they're scared. That's who this podcast is geared to. Right? So if this is you, I'm talking to you. And you probably think, well, I'm not quite there. If you're thinking that, you probably are already there. So pay attention, listen up. So I hired her, and at first it was slow. It was slow. It wasn't this magical, like, oh my gosh, my life is solved. All my problems are solved. She's doing everything. She's taking everything off my plate. It's amazing. No, I mean, I made a list of the stuff that I didn't like to do. I made a list of the stuff that I wanted her to do. I made a list of the core things we were working on with asset management, with the Facebook group management, with the deal room. And we just started to tick away at that. And it evolved, right? Some of that stuff worked out. It was important. It was good. Some of that stuff, it wasn't really the right thing for her to be doing, or she didn't necessarily have the skills to be doing that. And so it fell off and it evolved, but it was going in the right direction, right? So now she's coming up on her 1-year anniversary, and we have this sheet, and every week we meet and we kind of track the stuff that she's working on. We add to it, we delete it. We check on the KPIs, the key performance metrics or key performance indicators that are telling us, hey, she's going in the right direction. She's tracking in the right direction. We're making progress. Another thing that I recognize, guys, is just like the roles, the responsibilities, handing things over and building into that role, it doesn't happen all at once. You don't hand him or her the keys to the kingdom day one, access to all your bank accounts, social. They're taking over your asset management, your investor relations. No, it doesn't happen like that. And the other thing that's doesn't happen that way is the salary doesn't get paid out in day one. So let's say you hire somebody for $50,000 a year. Well, you don't have to have $50,000 ready to go, bankrolling them day one, right? What do you need? You need to be able to pay them for the first month. So $50,000, I mean, that's like $4,000, $4,000 or $5,000 a month, right? So if you have $15,000 set aside, saved up, ready to invest in your business, you have 3 months worth of salary for that person. And if you have 3 months worth of salary, after 3 months, you're going to see this is working. You're going to start to see that they are now making you money. You're going to start seeing more time. You're going to have opportunities that you can pursue, and you really can work on monetizing that. But we don't look to buy an apartment complex, and in month one, we're like, dang, we're not making any money. This isn't working. Why isn't this monetizing? Why aren't we cash flowing? Maybe the apartment needs some renovations. Maybe it needs fixed up. Maybe we got to turn over the tenant base. Maybe we got to refinance it and get the preferred return off of our back before this thing is really going to cash flow, right? But it will cash flow. We're moving in the right direction. And the same is true with an investment in a person, in a team. You can't expect that thing to be like cash flowing day one from what it's an investment. But after 3 or 4 or 5 months, you should definitely see progress in the right direction. And if you have to cut your losses, if you have to move on, if you have to find the right person that isn't the right person, well, you haven't lost $50,000, $60,000. You've lost $10,000, $15,000, and you can recover from that and you can move forward. And that was a big thing for me, was thinking, oh, wow, I'm just going to take my income and cut X amount of dollars off of it, whatever salary. That is not true, because this is going to help you earn more, right? You would invest $1 to make 3. You would buy an apartment complex, and put in 100 to make 200, 300. And this is how you've got to start seeing investing in your teams and investing in people. So things started to change, right? Stacy adapted to what we were doing. She started learning. She started getting the hang of it. She took on more roles. We could train on something for her to do, something, take over, and she would get it. She would take it and run with it. And now I didn't have to worry about it, right? I know that Stacy's got it. So something that we do is we send out an email, right? We email out my podcast to our email list every week. And once we trained on that and how to do it, how to use the system and where the podcasts were located and the template, boom, that thing happens every week like clockwork, and I don't have to worry about it, right? The same thing with our shows, right? We do a Tuesday underwriting show and it gets sent out to the whole deal room, and it happens like clockwork. And now I look as though I'm accomplishing a lot more, and I am accomplishing a lot more, right? I'm accomplishing way more because I have a leverage piece there. Leverage is what builds empires, not hard work. Hard work is not the answer. Hard work is not the key. Jumping up and down, beating your chest like I work the hardest, I'm going to outwork everybody. Good for you. But I would say that most of us here the guys and girls that I'm rolling with, that's not the problem. Oh, that you're lazy, that you don't work hard. Right? If that's your issue, then this message isn't for you. This podcast isn't for you. You really shouldn't be. If you can't motivate yourself to get off the couch, you shouldn't be listening to me. But your issue is you're working on the wrong things. You're working on low leverage stuff. You're soothing that fear inside of you through busyness, right? Oh, I've worked so hard today, so I deserve a break because I know that I'm doing the best I can. I'm working as hard as I can. Okay, you're going to continue to get the results that you've gotten, right? If you just keep working, hard work and more hard work is not going to get you where you want. You have to do things differently. You have to implement leverage. Okay? So once that happened and she started getting it and we started implementing this leverage piece, then the magic started happening. One, I started to dream. I started to think about how could my mentoring program be better? What other avenues could I do? What other businesses could I be a part of? How can I buy more real estate? How can I make it easier for my mentees to buy real estate? And how can I build my social following, right? I was spending so much time trying to build this following, and it was start and stop, and I really wasn't getting much traction. And I was taking tons of time with a low leverage activity of waiting for videos to upload, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is what happened. And I wrote this down. The deal room grew, pretty much doubled after hiring Stacy, and the quality of the members increased. We've gotten a lot more selective on the people that we've let in there. You have to have real estate experience prior, or you have to own your own business. And the deal room has really, really been a lot of fun and has changed my life. And it has been a huge increase, right? That alone has more than covered the quote unquote cost of Stacy. Okay. She also launched my personal brand website. Now, is Stacy a web developer? Right? The old Jennings would have been like, oh, well, I want to hire somebody that can build me websites and that's a social media guru and this and that, because that'll be cheaper and I can hire her in-house and she can do all this for me. Wrong. You know, that is not her role. Your executive assistant, if you hire one, or your next hire, that's what I would recommend you do, is hire a right-hand man or woman. And their role is not to be the catch-all that you dump all the junk that you don't want to do on their plate. That's a scarcity mindset, right? That's the first step. I mean, that's better than nothing, I guess, but that's not where you want to go. Where you want to go is this is your person that helps you find the right tools, the right subs, the right people. Yes, there are some things that they're doing that they can do, but that's not their only role. Because if I had Stacy build my website would have sucked, right? So I had Stacy look and interview and find the right person to build the website. And we settled on a phenomenal person who has built like Grant Cardone's website, Brad Lee's website, some other entrepreneurs that are in the same space I'm in. And Jennings Smith Jr., shameless plug there, Jennings Smith Jr. is a phenomenal website, right? It's got my podcast there. It's got the deal room there. It's got the Facebook group there. It's got our cryptocurrency there. It's got everything about me that you'd want to know, all housed in a really slick package. And that would not have happened without Stacy. I never would have gotten it done because I would have tried to hire some web company. They would have sucked. I would have missed the meetings. I wouldn't have wanted to go through all the revisions. I mean, Stacy drove it. And we're going to get to that in a second. So that happened. Deal Token Crypto launched because of Stacy, because we're meeting every week. We're talking about it. She's helping me get the white paper done. She's helping me get the website done. She's getting the jot forms done, the claim token, all that stuff, right? So we launched a cryptocurrency around our multifamily community, My First Million in multifamily. Asset management firm was hired. So we went through a major upheaval with switching some management companies and asset managers who are now managing the property managers. That was led by Stacy. Podcasts. Here's another example of Stacy not being the right person for this, but finding the right person, becoming the conduit for that. So one of the roles that I asked Stacy was, I want to be booked on more podcasts. And if you're listening to this podcast right now and you know of a great podcast that you think that I should be on, hook me up. Shoot me a message. I would appreciate that. But I told Stacy I want to be booked on a couple podcasts a week. Let's make that happen. Start reaching out to people. And a couple weeks had passed and we're checking in on this task and it really just was not happening, right? We're not getting the bookings we want. And I ask her what's going on, and people are blowing her off. They're not replying and she's just not able to get it done. I said, well, what can we do about that? Because this is important. We need to make this happen. And we brainstormed a little bit and we came up with, let's take the same approach that we did with the website. Stacy is not a specialist in booking podcasts. However, there are firms, there are companies, there are consultants that can help us get that momentum going. And so she interviewed with 4 or 5 different companies. She brought the top one to me. I sat through it, loved it. We approved it. And now I'm booked on 15 different podcasts over the next couple months. And she made that happen as that conduit. My social media following has doubled, right? I had a couple thousand followers on Facebook. I think I'm over 9,000 now. You know, our Facebook group is growing. Our TikTok following is growing. Our Instagram following is growing. We had a video the other day that broke 4 million views across Facebook and Instagram. 4 million views. That's pretty much a viral video. And so we're doing that because we're consistently producing social media content. And the reason we are is because of Stacy, right? Because Stacy found a Philippines VA company to help make these video clips. And then they send them back and they're wrong. And she corrects the English and she tunes them up and she posts them and she messages me and says, hey, we need more videos. You got to make a few. And yes, I'm making the content, but that's not that hard. Making the content is, I would say, probably 10 to 20% of it. The rest is editing and execution. And that's where she's taking that over. And because of that, the social media content has doubled. And now we have plans to grow that further. We bought a yacht. Preferred return. We bought her and she handles everything with that. The bookings, the captain that's running it, all this stuff. And so that has become a blessing instead of a pain in the butt. Tax returns, right? Just got my 2021 taxes done. And when you're filing taxes on like 16 different companies between all the real estate holdings and all the other stuff we're doing, it gets to be really burdensome just to get those taxes done. And all this plus countless, travel bookings, buying stuff on Amazon, thank you cards, thank you gifts, my anniversary, my trip to Europe, like stuff that I just want to have happen, that she helps make it happen. And I hate dealing with that stuff. And it's really not the most important thing to deal with. Now, why did all this happen? Right? We're going to talk about the very, very key as to why this has happened. Why did the deal room grow? Why did the personal brand grow? Why did the personal website grow? The deal token launched, the podcast bookings, the social media doubling, the tax returns done, all that. The reason why is Stacy held me accountable. You may think, oh, Jennings, you don't need accountability. You're out there killing it. You're making all these videos and you're getting up at 5 a.m. and you're very accountable and disciplined. And I'm not, right? I'm not. I'm a human. I'm fatigued. I don't want to do things that I don't want to do. I don't want to answer that email. I don't want to make that video. I don't want to post. I don't want to write. I don't want to do my taxes. I don't want to do any of it. I'm lazy, just like every other human being, but I can build systems, processes, and accountability in my life so that I can excel, right? So I can automate it, where I can make this stuff happen even when I don't feel like making it happen, or I can get somebody else to do it so that it still gets done even if it's not me personally doing it. But that is a lie, right? Where you're like, oh, just everybody else is doing everything. You still need accountability. There's still things that you need feedback on that you got to handle. And when you have somebody holding you accountable, meeting with me weekly, Jennings, I need this from you. I need that from you. We've got to meet with this person about the website. We need to approve these changes. Do you want to book on this podcast? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. All right. I'm booking it. All right. Your anniversary's coming up. Like, do you have a reservation? Okay, what do you want to get your wife? This kind of thing. Like, I need that accountability. And because of that, it was almost like a coach in my life. And when we implemented this in the deal room, this is when we really started seeing results happen as well. Because in the deal room, we just used to be like, hey, here's the course, and we're going to underwrite your deals live. But we implemented the deal sprints, assigning you to small groups, assigning you to sprint leaders, holding you accountable to the things that you want to achieve, and meeting about those weekly. That's when we really started to see the results ramp up, because everybody needs accountability. Everybody needs a process, a system. And if you are on the precipice of, do I need help? Do I need to hire this person or do that? That person is going to bring accountability into your life. That person is going to bring a higher level of performance for you because you know you got to perform. You don't want to let this person down. They're trying to help you and you got to help them help you, if that makes sense. When we're focused on something, it happens. When our back is against the wall, we can do amazing things. And when we put that intrinsic pressure on ourselves, that accountability, then things happen, right? So if I'm paying this podcast booking agency, I think it's like $1,800 a month, you know what? I am going to take these interviews. I'm going to take these bookings. I'm going to make this thing happen. I pay my podcast producer $1,200 a month. Well, I better record 4 episodes a month or I'm just wasting my money. You know, the people that are in our deal room, they're paying $400 a month to be in the deal room. And if they're just sitting around doing nothing, not making progress, not sitting on the calls, not showing up, not doing the accountability sprints, it's like, it hurts. It hurts. And I want it to hurt. I want it to mentally torture them so that they take action and get the result that they want and change their life, right? It needs to hurt. When you're having an executive assistant or employee and you're not utilizing them, you're not freeing up your time, and then you're not utilizing your time for the highest and best use of the next thing that you want to achieve and accomplish, then it hurts, right? You feel that intrinsic pressure and that accountability excels. And this is why teams of people are always going to beat individuals. This is why in sports, when we see the well-oiled machine, the team with a great coach, they're going to beat the superstar every time. You know, Michael Jordan could never win until he got the full package, until he got Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, you know, a rebounder, defenders, an assist to help him get it done. And you need to think of yourself as the coach, right? The coach of the team. And most of us are trying to be the superstar. We're trying to get in there, throwing the touchdown pass. We're the only one that can do it. We're the one that makes it happen when the clock is winding down. You know what? That's the wrong mind picture. You are the coach. You're the person that is putting the pieces together, that's putting the teams together, that's motivating people to generate value to the marketplace, because that's something that you can scale. That's something that you can build instead of maxing yourself out. So my encouragement to you is, if you're at the place where you're stalling and you want to hit on the next level, you're plateauing, you know you're too busy, you know you're not working on your highest and best use, you know you're not pursuing, you've stopped dreaming, right? You've stopped dreaming about the next thing because that's so overwhelming with all the stuff you have on your plate, it doesn't even compute. If that's you, then you need to make a change. If you keep doing the same thing, your plan got you to where you are. And where you are now, that's great. That's awesome. But if you want to go somewhere different, you've got to change the plan. You've got to do something different. If you don't like those results, then you got to change it, because your results are just a perfect reflection of your current plan. Your current plan needs to change if you want those different results. So get your back up against the wall, make some changes, make some commitments, time, money, people, investments. This is what's going to push you. This is why you see these people that join these masterminds. Like, why would you pay all this money to join these masterminds? Because it puts my back against the wall, right? I'm not paying, $50,000 a year to be in a mastermind to go and mess around, right? I'm there to grow. I'm there to learn. I'm there to connect. I'm there to make new friends. I'm there to learn, and I'm there to keep up with that group, right? I'm putting my back against the wall, and it's one of the major contributors to success. So if this resonates with you and you're thinking about this and you're not sure, what the next move is, take the plunge or reach out to me, shoot me a message. I'm happy to chat. I try to answer all the messages, but that's what I got for you today, guys. If this podcast means something to you, if you enjoy listening to it, you leave me a 5-star review. That would mean a lot to me. It helps share the word so that more people can do this. We're hitting at 2,000 downloads a week now on this podcast. So we're really getting traction. I'm excited about that. You're a part of that, and I appreciate you. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. Remember to unlock your life. All right, guys. Peace.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.